Everyone good back there? Can you hear me? If you have a yellow comment card, yeah, bring it on up to me, please. Or you can hand it to anybody. The pink card is if you want to submit written comments. If you want to talk today, bring a yellow card up to the front. I'll call up people 3 at a time.
What on? No, one minute. I think we have too many cards for 2 minutes.
Okay, so all right. Who has a comment card that they want to submit? Does anybody have a comment card that we have not collected? Okay. All right, we have a comment card here. We're going to be calling up the first 3 names, and then if you could line up here, I think that's the most fair way to get everybody's comments submitted in a timely manner. And because of timing, we have 15 comment cards, so we're going to keep it at 2 minutes because it's 15. If we get more comment cards, we may have to reduce that number. So just throwing that out there. So the first 3 names are...
Ready, everybody? I got Susan Swendberg, Alice Kaufman, and Teresa Marsh. Please come up.
Hi, I'm Susan Sundberg. I would like.
Can somebody adjust? I got you. I'm little, so it's short.
Okay, I would like to see more of a balance between residential units and green space, like half and half. In general, it's a very densely populated plan compared to the surrounding area, and would create a lot of traffic, I think. Also, please take into account that 1 or more foxes have had a den on the east side of the parcel. I don't know if they're still there. And also, ducks and great blue herons use the seasonal pond on the White Road side of the property. I'd also like to see mostly native plants used throughout this project, and that would help mitigate, some of the pollution and effect on wildlife. Thank you.
Good evening. Thanks for the opportunity to speak. My name is Alice Kaufman. I am the Policy and Advocacy Director for Green Foothills, which is an environmental organization that works to protect open space and natural resources. So in terms of the scoping, I would say the EIR needs to evaluate the impacts of the loss of open space, trees, and habitat currently on the site, as well as the increased burden on existing nearby parks and recreational facilities from increased usage as a result of the project. Right now, this site is entirely open space. It provides habitat for urban wildlife, it creates a cooling effect during heat waves, and it filters stormwater during rain events. This site is also the last really sizable undeveloped site in San Jose. It's the last blank slate that we're ever likely to have to create something truly innovative and exceptional for people and wildlife. Green Foothills would like to see options included in the plan for tree-shaded trails, community gardens, wildflower meadows, butterfly gardens, playgrounds where kids can dig in the dirt and climb trees. We would like to see oaks and other native trees instead of non-natives that don't provide any food for local birds and insects. And finally, I want to note that parks and open space are a top priority for the community. In the surveys conducted by the city last year, parks, open space, and wildlife habitat received by far the most support for the community. In response to the question, what are your top priorities for development on this site? 73% of respondents chose new parks and open space. The next most popular choice only received 26% support. In answer to the question, what community amenities would you most like to see? The top choice was new parks with 61% support. The next most popular choice was farmers markets and community gardens. The third most popular choice was connections to Lake Cunningham. The project currently does not provide any of those amenities. And then finally, loss of habitat for animals and loss of large trees was identified by 58% of survey respondents as their biggest concern about the project, second only to concerns about the traffic. Thank you.
I'm going to call the next 3. Hold on just a minute. I've got Kimberly Williams, Lori Truitt, and Wesley Lee. Kimberly, you're passing?
I will pass.
Okay,
My question
understood.
was answered. Thank you.
So then Lori Truitt, Wesley Stephen D. Benetta. You were speaking together, I believe. And then I have Claudia Dem. Sorry if I mispronounced that.
Yeah, my name is Teresa Marsh. I'd like to just know if there's gonna be another exit from White Road to Capitol. I have video. I live on Ocala Avenue, and it's backed up all the way to the part to go down Ocala Avenue to get to Capitol. Okay, that's it.
I have concern for the amount of parking that's being provided within the development because the streets are narrow and with how many houses they're going to put on, that little drawing you put on, I know it's not official, but we are concerned that who lives, especially, like I live off of Spenio and Vista Verde, 350 feet from this where it starts, and if there's not going to be enough parking, people are going to be parking up our neighborhoods, and that's a big problem. So my concern is, are you going to provide enough parking on site to alleviate parking in our neighborhoods? I know. So, my other concern is, we cut down all the trees before this meeting even happened. And so that's, if you're so concerned about the environment, why did you cut down the trees before you asked our opinion on it? And I agree with providing more open space. And less developed, the thought of 2,800 and whatever units on that small space is, I realize the city wants tax base, and that's what it's all about for the city. And my other concern is that the city council doesn't have to take the planning commission's comments. They can ignore those, and why in the heck are we having these meetings if the things we recommend can be totally ignored? Thank you.
No, I do want to say something. You know, that is an excellent point about, you know, the feedback pertaining to, you know, the process where the planning commission and then the recommendation goes to the council. But that's why it's so important for me to be here and actually hear my neighbors. And I've been here since the very beginning when we did the community meetings, and I take the feedback that we hear here very, very personally, and not just because I grew up here, I live here, I experience the traffic. So I take your comments to heart. And the trees question, you know, I have heard from a lot of folks about the tree cutting that they're currently doing. I've reached out to the county because, as mentioned in the presentation, this falls under the county's umbrella and their jurisdiction, not necessarily and they don't fall under our ordinance of what they can and cannot do. But to your question about what that means towards the environmental impact, we're gaining clarity on if we can establish, the question I have is if we can establish the baseline prior to the trees getting cut for whatever reason.
Done already.
I understand that, but that's a question that if staff wants to take a crack at that. But I don't want to take too much time from the public comment because this is more of a listening to hear from you and less from me.
Well, because of my last couple minutes, I have to use them up. We never received any notification by mail ahead of time from you before we saw the signs up on the golf course saying that this was happening.
Yep.
It would have been good if we knew in advance. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. My name is Claudia Derp. I'm a Palo Rancho resident homeowner. I actually want to still mention the trees just for emphasis. I think it's a real concern that the owner has changed the property already. This is now leading to issues from traffic noise to soil erosion, the habitat loss for all the animals that are living there. And again, the question, why is this, what impact does the study now have at this point? And also what can be done to stop it, and if the county or the city can do anything, be it relocating animals or whatever can be done. In regards to aesthetics, I would like for you to really seriously consider that all of the residential neighborhoods that border this property, that there is the currently suggested perimeter of single-family homes with a minimum size lot. that mirrors the residential area that is around it. Right now, the proposed plan has already been changed on Friday, so every time, I don't know how many more times they would change it, hopefully to the positive. And then my last question or concern is around traffic. There is currently an entrance suggested from Vista Verde. My question is, why is that needed? Currently the proposal shows an entrance to the property from White Road that is all the way at the end of the property, meaning near where the fire station is, rather than where there is already an intersection that goes into the Cunningham Lake Park. And also in terms of the consideration, you mentioned other areas. There is Reed Hill Airport. I know it's being rumored that the lease might be extended or not. What type of development, or would that be considered as part of your review? Thank you.
Hi, this is Wesley Lee. So I'm part of the District 8 Community Roundtable, and this may be a two-part. Okay, can you hear me now? Okay, sorry. This might be a two-part section. You could just reset it. So, I may need to have another person, Steve, may finish out my statement there. Okay, thanks. The District 8 Community Roundtable recommends adding the following scenarios to the existing 2,000 and 2,850 unit scope of the EIR review process. 1,721 unit plan originally submitted by the Lakeside, and 1,350 units, including 350 units of the affordable housing. The development should move forward within the framework of the development agreement, which should be offered by Lakeside. This agreement would guarantee the commercial space, parks, open areas, a community center, and affordable housing will be developed simultaneously with the residential units, ensuring that these community benefits are realized. The city and city fiscal and cost development studies must also align with the range of densities that have been suggested. These various scenarios will provide the necessary information to empower the city council to evaluate and deliberate on what is needed for this site. Recent studies of the city development costs reveal a significant insight. High density is often not financially viable for many areas in the east side. This underscores the critical need for the city council to explore a wider range of options. The development of this Pleasant Hill involves numerous complexities and trade-offs. As a result, it's essential for the city to ensure that the future analysis and community discussions are thorough, transparent, and based on data. The city council must provide all the relevant information, including community input, as they make decisions about whether and how the development should be moved forward.
Steve Bennett, District 8 Community Roundtable. In continuing, achieving a wild balance planning design for the site poses unique challenges, particularly since San Jose General Plan and state vehicle miles traveled law with regard to the project is continuing the trend to urban sprawl. However, we currently are facing a housing crisis, and that demands action. We urge the city to recognize the implicating our recommendations for broadening the scope of the EIR review, the fiscal study, and the cost development study, which will equip the city council with the necessary data to make the information decisive and quickly. New subject. Someone's going to get killed walking into Cunningham Park through the entrance on Tully Road. We need a three-way stop sign there, not lights. People already turn left, they're not supposed to. If you look at the medium in the front, you'll see about 50 crash marks from the rims that they destroyed their tires. It is risky crossing that. And used to be a lot of car parts on the side. Now Evergreen leadership picks it up. Also, like I said, and also, going into the water slides, there's a huge backup, and people go down and then they back it up more. what we need is a three-way stop, not the lights. Anyway, thank you very much. Oh, one more thing. You know, these crashes aren't logged. My late wife had a crash there, and a lot of her friends from the Korean church have been hit. But you declare it, and your insurance goes up, so they pay cash and get it fixed. Thank you.
I'm going to call forward to time now. Forward to time here. I've got Rick Maluro.
Obo.
Sorry if I mispronounced that. Rhonda Garcia, Robert Reese, and Craig Parker. Please come up.
All right, I've lived here 38 years. I had my first school dance right here at this hall. All right, I've been here a long time. And there's a lot of things that I'm concerned about. And, you know, this whole EIR, you're on step 7 already. You know, because the minute you impacted that environment by doing that with the trees and everything, it's impacting. You know, you find one tiger salamander, one kind of alien species of special concern, and it's over. You guys have to halt. But everybody here wants that money, they want it all to go fast. They want somewhere to put somebody. But that's not here. Look at all these places around you. I mean, people are peaceful. Well, we're looking around, now we've got coyotes going on our streets even more and more because you're fragmenting their habitat. It's fragmented already. It's fragmented. I mean, when I would go by there, I'd see all kinds of birds going through there. We're in Condor Range. We have species of special concern. You know, like, you guys, I don't know what consultants you have already, or what firm you're using, or anything like that yet. Do you guys know? Because, I mean, they should be aware of all that. Because I don't go looking for burrowing owls on something that's already been bulldozed. You know what I'm saying? What's the point? It's already done. You know, and our infrastructure. Like, I got 2 ways to get down to Capitol. And in the morning, it's not happening. You know what I'm saying? And if you put that many people here when we got our schools, I went to Valley Vista. And I went to all these schools here. There's no way you're getting back down there. You know, you put that many people in there, it's crazy. We don't need the lights. I don't want a light on a movie. They tell you, I don't want a light there. You know, like, it's just not happening. You know, you got BART coming through there already, and I know that once you got the property within range of the rail, you can do whatever you want. Put a 7-story high-rise there if you want. I know that's a lot. A lot of people are looking at this, but this has already been planned, and we're the last to know. I don't think that's right.
Hi, my name is Rhonda Garcia. I'm a resident of the Palo Rancho. We've been there for a long time. I'm all over the place. I do apologize. I was just writing notes as people were talking. This project has been ongoing for a really long time. It started back probably almost 15 years ago when they did the first EIR report. I would like to see the difference between your EIR report and the original one that was done. That started on the Evergreen Valley, whatever it was called, and we cut that out because we're not in Evergreen. We are part of District 8, so that has a new program. There are a lot of different things that I want to talk about. One of them is the setback of established neighborhoods, how we're going to impact those neighborhoods that are already there. Those are going to be sets 1, 5, and 7. Those neighborhoods have been there for a long time. They actually paid more money to live in those houses because they were on the golf course. How are we going to do the setbacks and the height of those buildings to make sure that those people are compensated for the neighborhoods that are there? Why do you have an exit going out onto Sueno Road into a registered neighborhood that has been there for a really long time? I don't think that that is proper. I think that on the first report that we did with the roundtable with the District 8, it was not done that way. It was actually done out on White Road, which would make more sense because you, as somebody else had said, we need to have that spot so that we can walk out. Also, we're talking about parking, garages. We don't want to be a back alley and somebody's just their trash cans and just their parking. What about the rats and the animals that are going to come from those neighborhoods? Everybody who knows that was when Cunningham was built, what happened to our homes? We're talking about traffic accidents. What about schools? Have we even talked about those? ERR reports is a district, we are an F. It doesn't get any worse than that. They don't go higher. The city of San Jose does not go higher than an F. We are already there. Please
Super
look
strike.
at our staff.
My name is Craig Parker. I live 3 doors from this thing. I'm a little concerned because we told the people when they started this whole operation that if you really want to piss off the neighbors, dump 1,000 cars into their neighborhood. And that's exactly what you did. You made an opening onto Vista Verde going across the Sueño. Come on, guys. You say you were listening, but obviously you don't. And that kind of pisses us off. So you didn't make an exit onto White Road. And there's already a light there, there's already a road there, you could have done it, you didn't do it. Now the other thing I'm worried about is you're calling this area along White Road a wet zone or a wet area, whatever. What is the source of the water? Unless there's a spring there, your environmental impact ought to take into account that if you put all those streets in there, and you put all those streets all have drains on them, there's not going to be any water down there. You need to know where the source of that water is. If it's coming from water that falls on that golf course and falls down to those wetlands, and you put all those streets in there, and you put all those drains in there, it's not going to be a wetland anymore. It's going to be just dry land and weeds. So your environmental impact should take that into account. Thank you very much.
Before you start, I'm going to call the next four, if you don't mind. I've got Ellie Glass, Alex Shore, Paul Torres, and Roxanne Anderson. Please come up.
Good evening. My name is Robert Reese. I'd like to lend my support to the District 8 Community Roundtable suggestion that the additional alternatives be looked at of the 1,315 units and the 1,721 units, which was the original plan that the developer submitted after the visioning studies. The reason for this is that you've had at least 2 cost development studies at the city's commissions, which pretty much showed that high-density housing is not economically feasible on the east side of San Jose. It's feasible in certain areas of San Jose. And I think that that is, beg the question of, are we looking at getting something mapped, or are we looking at getting something built? And what's the state's responsibility in terms of overviewing the city to get housing built? So that's very important. I'm hoping that with the up to 2,000 units, you have an open mind, that you will look at lower levels of density. You've already decided on the 2,850 units internally, so please be open to other suggestions on density. The other thing I'd like to see if you could focus on in the EIR is the fees for the vehicle miles traveled, the transportation fees. We've gotten different answers over a long period of time as to whether or not the traffic fees will stay within Evergreen or be used in other areas of San Jose. So if this is appropriate for this context, that would be something that we should get buttoned down. Also, would it be possible to link the studies in the EIR to explicit transportation improvements so we can see how something might be improved by the transportation fees that would be accumulated for this property? The other thing is, I know the city does transportation demand studies. Would it be possible that those be empirical based on actual case studies so that we can know whatever determination is made on the transportation alternatives will actually work? Thank you for all the hard work of city staff, Councilmember Candalas, everyone for coming out tonight. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Ellie Glass, and I'm a former resident of Palo Rancho. I lived there 45 years, and I also attended this school, Valley Vista, and Mount Pleasant. Palo Rancho is going to be the most affected by this, and no one has done the legwork. So myself and Rhonda Garcia were part of it was 20 years ago, the opposition, and they did an EIR, environmental impact report back then, as you are aware of now. But what about water? Like, how can you build all those homes and there's been drought? I mean, where's the water gonna come from? Okay, what about pollution? I mean, nobody has just one car and traffic. So it doesn't work. Not to mention, shut down, right? It's now a private school. So it doesn't make any sense. I mean, and not only that, but like the first speaker, she was right on the money as far as this is the last open space in East San Jose. And actually, my grandfather, that was his ranch. My mom was raised there. And he wanted it to be open space. That's why he leased the land to Henry Dueno for it to be a golf course. So there has to be a better way to go about this. And it's up to you to make sure that happens.
Hi, I'm Paul Torres. A lot of the things that have been said are the concerns that I have as I'm a part of this community. But what bothers me is that I've been through this process way back in the day. It failed, and now here we are again. The thing is that a lot of concerns that we have not been addressed. Many a times we have spoken about these things, and they're still being not addressed, such as the Sueño Vista Verde intersection. I remember in the past, not too long ago, we all talked about not having something from that site coming into our area. Again, it's not been we have, the picture shows clearly. Now you have the, White Road and the intersection there already established. Why can't you have a four-way there? Why can't things be directed away from our neighborhood as much as possible? Because we live there because we like the area. We bought homes there because of the beautiful place that we lived in. Now it's being threatened. We're all being threatened. Everything that's going on here doesn't feel right. And if it cannot be done correctly, then maybe it should not be done at all. Because I remember back in the day when we first started this, there was three sites that were green sites for South San Jose. Two of them are gone. We're the last one. Now, we were told back then it wasn't going to be touched. As a matter of fact, the first session, we don't need to make money on our green sites. We have other ways to make money. That's what was told us. That was done. It was 5 years of that. Now, here we are again, and we've got a lot of concerns, as you can see. Please take the right action. Listen to us, because it matters.
Alex, before you start, next up I have Gio Artache. I'm sorry if I mispronounced her first name. Lena Simpuchan, Neil R., and Patricia Mendoza.
Change is hard, change is scary, yet change can be good. When my grandparents moved to this valley, it was mostly orchards. The change that led to this neighborhood is one many of us would embrace because it allowed our homes to be built so we can now live here. Certainly we want that opportunity for others. Members of the local nonprofit I operate, Catalyze SV, who live in this community care about Pleasant Hills. It's the most important development in the entire city right now. And if we get it right, we have a chance to build a beautiful, vibrant, exciting neighborhood. But if we get it wrong and our members think this design currently is subpar, San Jose will get more expensive and displace more of our family and friends. Dozens of my friends have been pushed out of this region because of how expensive it is. The more housing we have, the less expensive it is. The city must build 62,000 homes in the next 6 years. If we don't get enough housing on the site, we'll never reach our crucial goals. I see a lot of young people here today. We're building Pleasant Hills for our kids. But where are they going to live in their 20s if we build mostly a bunch of $1.5 million homes as this developer is proposing? We need to build enough housing for those kids, our kids, or they will have to move elsewhere. Catalyze SV offered some designs to the city, and our members offered some new ideas on how we could create a better development here at Pleasant Hills. Encourage folks to check that out. I want to thank staff for studying the 2,800 unit project. Catalyze SV members want to see staff study a project with more homes like what we have offered. Please, staff, do that.
Good evening, everyone. This is a really good turnout. I just have a question. I'm concerned about not only losing the golf course, but Lake Cunningham as well. As you may or may not know, Lake Cunningham was developed from wetlands, from a marsh, right? It was then, the lake was then created to control the runoff, right? 35, 40 years later, the water quality over at Lake Cunningham has declined because of our infrastructure now. My question, very simple, is Lake Cunningham a part of the EIR? And if it's not, are we going to lose Lake Cunningham like we're losing the golf course?
It's not part of the IR.
Thank you. Good evening, everyone. I'm here to express my concerns also, including my neighbors who cannot be here tonight, but we do have the same concerns. So it's been expressed already, but I'm going to echo that to show that there's a lot of us, all of us are not approving this project. So my main concerns are traffic and environmental impact. Traffic in our area is already a serious problem. Then adding hundreds of cars will make it worse and unsafe, especially around the schools and main roads. Our infrastructure is not just ready for this kind of project. Environmentally, this project would destroy one of the few remaining open green spaces in our community. So, excuse me, I ask that you please reconsider this project. It's easy for these developers to put the project up and make money, but a lot of us moved here because we want the community, we want the neighborhood. Thank you.
Yeah, so a couple things. First of all, actions speak louder than any words. When you cut down 800 plus trees or somewhere in that neighborhood, that speaks volumes, right? It pretty much says that what are we doing here seems to be a foregone conclusion, right? That's the message that you send. Really, I'm concerned also about safety and security. I have not heard anything about that. We're driving in that much traffic, that much people. There's a big concern around it. What's the plan to address that area? Thank you.
Before you start, I'm gonna call it. I've got 3 cards left. Anybody else wants to come up? Give me your cards. I'll call you. I got James Hay. I have Robert Corball and Giovanni Medina.
Hello, everyone. Good evening. I'm very nervous, so I apologize if I can't speak or stutter or something. But I would like to just address the tree thing. I think that a lot of those trees may have been dead. I could be wrong or leaning, so maybe that's why some of them are removed, but maybe we should contact that Randazzo Industries, because I believe they're the ones that are working on this project, because people are concerned about animals. So it would be interesting to see what they would say about animals on the site or plants in the site and stuff like that. I should have started this out by saying no on the development, just to be clear on that. I think other sites should be like Eastridge Mall. I think that's a possibly better site, and as someone else said, the Reed Hillview Airport is possibly another site. After this one, if this one is developed, you guys will probably go on to develop those ones anyway. But I guess that's all I have. Thank you for this time. Thank you.
and couldn't make it. But basically, the neighborhood has been gathering for the last couple months, and we've been asking, what do we want to see in this development? Of course, me personally, I would like to see the cows stay and open space, but you know, we're reasonable, we understand housing is an issue and it has to be developed. Okay, well, if it does, 2,000 homes are way too many homes. Like somebody mentioned before, we all have a vehicle because we live in San Jose and you have to have a vehicle. And we're talking about 2,000 vehicles at least. And now that I'm disappointed to see that now we're being proposed an alternative of 2,850. That is just ridiculous. For us as a neighborhood, we want to see the minimum number of units, which was, as already previously mentioned, 1,300 to 1,500 as a reasonable amount, single-family homes. We want senior housing because it has been proven that senior housing has, you know, they don't do the commute. They don't do the commute anymore, and so it alleviates the traffic. Neighbors have also expressed, as mentioned here, there needs to be access on White Road, just because there is no infrastructure here. You have 3 schools that people need to get through to get in and out of the new proposed development. It's not reasonable, it's not safe for our kids, and we just don't have the infrastructure for it. And so I want to thank you all for coming. I thank you, Councilmember, for being here. I really wish all of planning could be here and make the commute at 6 in the evening so they can see what our commute looks like. Because to reach any freeway, it takes us 20 to 25 minutes from our area. And so I really wish they could be here. I really wish the mayor could come and do the commute as well and get an idea of what our neighborhood looks like. I parked 2 blocks down just for this meeting. It's insane. And so I want to just express the quality of life of the existing residents and the importance of that as well. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you guys for having us. I just wanted to bring something up, like, I don't know how important it is to everybody, but you guys are talking about the development, you guys are talking about like transportation. I used to go to these schools too when I was younger. We used to have the 39. Went from Boeger, it would leave East Ridge, it would go down Capitol, then it would hit Ocala, then Martin, and then make a right on Flint. And I can give you the whole path of my time, but basically it went all the way to Evergreen High School and back to East Ridge again. And then there's an AM one that went the opposite way. So I'm just wondering, like, what happened to those buses? How come we don't have them on our side anymore? Because I still see a 39 on the other side of Tully. But for some reason, all of these schools here, I don't know what happened. We don't get that bus route anymore. So why even wait to bring some public transportation back? Like, why wait for that project? Like, why not give us who's here already that our buses back, is what I'm trying to say. But yeah, I'm not good at speaking, but thank you.
Hi, my name's Jane. This is my first time attending this type of community meeting. It's very interesting and very informative. I have a question. From a logistics standpoint, if you say this project is not approved, still at the early stage of seeking public comments, i.e. we're still here talking, and I just want to know who's cutting down the trees and cleaning up the area. This type of cleaning has not been done in the past at least 10 years. Why now?
So for the question about who's doing it's the property owners. They're the ones who it's their site. I actually reached out to the county. As I mentioned, this is a county. This is county property. It's unincorporated Santa Clara County, and so they obviously have different ordinances than us in the city with regards to what they can and cannot do on their property. Somebody mentioned dead trees. I was at a community meeting last week where the applicant actually stated that a lot of the trees were dead. But I reached out to my counterpart in the county to verify, is there a process? And unfortunately, the county does not have a process for what they can and cannot, what any property owner could do on their property. So I did verify that. And so because it's not city property, there's nothing I can do with regards to what the property owner and could do on their property. And I tried to reach out. In fact, I emailed Chris about this a couple weeks ago, and so I did reach out to the county, and that was their response.
Where's the county?
Yeah, it's been going on like 20 years, it's been sitting there. People fighting over it.
The property owner is still the same, I believe. I believe it's still the same, the property owner who's. Well, it's zoned private open space, or private open space recreation. Let's finish a couple of the.
My point is, I hope there's nothing like a under the table handshake. This has been done deal.
Absolutely not. Absolutely. Thank you.
They built a nice Chevron right there.
Hi, my name is Robert, and I live in the area here. Like probably 90+% of you here, we're the ones that are going to be impacted, obviously. When this goes through, whenever that is, we're the ones that are going to be impacted. So you've heard repeatedly about traffic, repeatedly. That's a major concern for all of us. 2,000 units or more, that's at least 5,000 cars, because if you average how many cars per household, an easy 3, think about it. So you're talking, depending on how many units, it's that many more cars. Yeah, and as far as the property itself, think about the L shape. You have coming around Flint, Vista Verde with the L, Tully, and White. I've heard repeatedly also, there is an intersection at Lake Cunningham with a light. So I'm hoping that that's one that will be targeted, entry and exit into whatever new community. But that it's very minimal coming off of Tully with the flow of traffic, everything coming off the mountain, and also on Flint and Vista Verde. Because I live just on the other side of Palo Rancho, on the other side of Tully, the south side. But the Palo Rancho neighborhood, as someone mentioned, they will be the most impacted, big time. So that's something to take into consideration. I hope you are, and people that you know that have the say. On top of that, just smart planning, like smart doing. You know, we've heard about animals, right? Well, there are animals using the property. There's some that are undesirable, like the coyotes, but there are good animals using the property, and I hope that that's taken into serious consideration, you know, to relocate and also just in the planning for open space. So instead of 2,000 units, and I think I saw 13 acres of open space, let's skew that a little bit more towards the green space, or maybe a lot more. That would benefit all of us and the thousands of people who are not here, who live in the area. Because I grew up in this area, I'm back here, and we grew up looking at all those trees and enjoying the greenery and the inspiration from the open space. So.
My name is Michael Lane. I've lived here for almost 30 years. Mine is about the power grid. What the number is, 5,000 cars maybe? Everybody can see all the electric cars that are on our properties now. The state of California is trying to cut off ICE motors, what, 2035? How many level 1 chargers are going to be put in every one of these houses? And when that peaks our power grid, how many people are going to have blackouts? That's all I have to say.
I believe that's all the cards. Is there anybody? Oh, we have a card. Come on up.
I didn't finish filling it out, but I'll tell you who I am. Full disclosure. My first meeting, I've been very busy with elderly parents, and now I've got a granddaughter. And what I'm noticing when my kids grew up, and we grew up on the back side of Valley Vista, where the back gate is, which is now currently bolted shut. So what I'm noticing is I have a granddaughter. My kids used to be able to walk to the end of the street and run down to the field and play in the baseball field at Valley Vista and climb on the playground at the kindergarten area. There are no schools that are not locked shut. Where are our kids and our grandkids gonna play? You're building a development. I've looked at the parks. In fact, one of the slides, which I wish you would make the slideshows also available as we walked in the door, because I'm reading private parks. Private parks to who? And how is my 2-year-old granddaughter gonna walk from the other side of Valley Vista all the way down here to play in a park that's in the middle of a neighborhood that's not gonna be large enough to support the 2,000 and plus
people that you're building it for. So if this is our last opportunity to build on this side of town, and I'll be quite honest, I've been here 42 years in the same house, and all I've seen is the green space get smaller and smaller. And anything that was available to our kids so they could learn to ride a bike on a basketball court and not on a street is locked down under padlocks. If you have a graffiti problem, you have a vandalism problem, then put shutters on the damn schoolrooms so they can't break the windows. Bolt those shut. But the kids should have somewhere to play that I don't have to put them in a car and drive them into the area where Evergreen School District is, who just happens to have not only green space, but bathrooms available. You look at the park that's up the hill, Prospect Park, there's no bathrooms and there's nowhere to roll in the grass. The infant playground, I haven't been there recently, was at one point completely taken out and it was a cat sandbox. So when we're looking at the scope of this project, we need to be looking at the needs of the community.
Thank you. Thank you so much. Before I turn it back to staff, you know, there's a couple things. As I mentioned, there's a lot of questions that everybody here has. I have questions. And that's why we're doing this environmental impact report. You know, obviously the trees, I got the emails from you all. I had concerns too. I was pissed. But unfortunately, this is not this. You know, this is outside of my jurisdiction, and that's why I reached out to the county. And unfortunately, the county's not here. But I will relay the collective concern. But you know, let's. I just want everybody to know that, you know, there's still a lot of study, a lot of questions that still need to be answered, and this is just the beginning of the process. And so, you know, there's concerns that I heard about water, about traffic. I live here. I get the traffic concern, and this is why we need to study that and quantify and actually get what it's going to look like. And you know, I mentioned it. The applicant is here. They're listening to this. And I've been clear from the get-go that the unit count, the number of units that we're talking about, has to match what we said in our community guiding principle. I've been unabashed about that. And so I want everybody to know I hear it, and I completely understand. And there's still a lot of way to go. Know that. Is there anything else, staff, on the agenda for tonight's meeting? No? Okay, staff is going to be made available for questions if you want to have individual conversations, and I will be around to be able to answer questions as well. Thank you all so much for coming. Make sure you signed in and keep abreast of where we are in the process. Thank you.